know, it's like anyway, so right now it's 7:12 and pretty much have about a little bit more than 30 minutes left. So I'm just trying to brainstorm what else. Okay, well, basically I was trying to begin this video by talking about conference, but I just felt those things that I just point out so far are just things that I have to say. In other words, can't hold it in anymore. So pretty much all those things I just said so far at the beginning of the video are things that I just couldn't hold it in anymore. Anyway, the plan was I was supposed to begin this video by talking about conference. Basically, what I'm doing right now, it's like I am in a conference with a crowd of people watching me, you know, kind of like in a way, that's the argument, you know, it's like, but I'm not in a conference right now with a group of people, like a crowd of people watching me. I'm inside, like, the patio area of my house, kind of like the patio area. So I'm not in a conference right now with a crowd of people, but that's the argument, you know. It's like these videos is I'm making, you know, it's sort of like in a way it's supposed to be like I'm in a conference with a crowd of people watching me and things like that. Like, pretty much. And okay, there's another thing I want to point out is this some background activities going on in the background, so I'm gonna continue while these background activities going on. So anyway, so basically I'm not in my conference right now, and also in the past I've been saying that I wanted, you know, like to able to request, you know, maybe the county of San Diego, you know, get together, have a community meeting and allow me to have a conference with a crowd of people to talk about the important announcement I have to make about PTTS. It felt like, you know, it would more or less would affect the community in general, you know, having this talk. So I felt like, you know, the community would able to do that for me and things like that. So in the past I have been saying that, you know, maybe the county of San Diego able to do that for me, to give me this talk in a conference with a crowd of people and things like that, to avoid these sort of confusion or misunderstanding and things like that. Anyway, like I'm just saying, and I don't really, I don't know I like I'm saying, because I don't have any feedback on my PTTS blog, so I don't know did the county of San Diego is in doing that in the process or not. I don't know because I don't have any feedback on my PTTS blog. Anyway, like I'm just saying, so I'm not trying to make the situation very confusing by pretending I'm in a conference when I am not. I am in the patio of my house. This is not a conference. This is the patio of my house. And also, there's another confusion that is could be very upsetting and everything. It's just like, sort of like in a way, like I am pretending this is some kind of, like, the argument that is, like this is some sort of TV and movie industry production, that these video I make, could argue as that, and then it's sort of like in a way, there are standards for the TV and movie industry productions. They are standard for that, it's sort of like in a way, and also they have crew and they have like all these people, like all the crew get together and create that production. It's not like one person right now who is have all these things that I can't hold it in anymore, and it's like it's not like that. It's like the TV and movie industry production. They have like crew and they go through all these standards that they have and everything. It's kind of like in a way. I'm saying it's just really could be confusing, talking about it, it's just like, and then some, then there's this accusation, it's just like you cannot, like, kind of like in a way would say like I cannot go against the whole TV and movie industry by myself. Why am I talking about the TV and movie industry? Kind of like in a way they will crush me. There's just how much history the TV and movie industry have. It's just like God, like I was saying. So like in a way, PTTS is not like a movie or something. I have step-by-step evidences along the way. So like in a way, so that's why I just had to point this out. Maybe somehow the confusion broke out. Someone think PTTS is like a movie or something. It's like. Like I'm saying, I'm I just want to avoid the confusion. The TV and movie industry, it's have this standard and and history and everything, You know, it's just PTTS. It's not a movie. It's an independent company. PTTS is not a movie. It's an independent company. I have step by step along the way evidences. I gather step by step along the way. Anyway, like I'm saying, you know, first of all, just have a feedback, like trying to get some feedback. Why, you know, like to avoid this sort of confusion. So I'm just gonna focus on that, but I'm just saying, you know, just in case like I'm saying, I cannot go against the whole TV and movie industry. You know, I'm just one person. You know, it's like I'm already struggling very hard to just keep the PTTS, the independent company PTTS, active and ongoing. I'm already struggling very hard. You know, so to also go against the whole TV and movie industry will be too much for me. You know, I'm already struggling very hard and everything. You know, it's like. Okay, so right now it's 7:24. So I have about around 20 minutes left. Pretty much, you know, I don't know. I felt, you know, if I pretend this is a conference, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would sound more professional in a way. That's the argument. Maybe I would be more professional about everything. I would sound more professional, you know, if I'm really inside a conference with a crowd of people. You know, maybe my video would have more standards and more professionalism. And I don't know, it's very confusing without any feedback on my PTTS blog. I just don't know what to expect, you know. It's like I'm struggling very hard to keep PTTS active and ongoing, and I'm doing the best I can. Anyway, pretty much, I don't know, like, I have to, pretty much, I'm just, basically the goal was this video, I was supposed to be pretending I am in a conference with a crowd of people, and I felt that all those things I had to say, and I was a bit hot and bothered by it too along the way, and I felt like, you know, I supposed to be professional and have standards about it, you know, shouldn't be hot and bothered by it and things like that. Anyway, maybe in the next video I'll be more professional and more standard about it and things like that. So right now, maybe this would be this video probably not gonna be, it's a kind of like, in a way, it more pretty much like I'm saying, the next video I will have more professionalism and standard in it. This video, because I just have a lot of things, I just can't hold it in anymore, you know, just have to say those. You know, like, anyway, pretty much, you know, like, I've seen those conferences before, you know, like, people all dressed in the suit and, you know, have I mean, back then during the club presidency, you know, as club president of the Mason Multimedia Club, trying to keep that standard also, like the conference. But I dress in almost like a suit, you know, like most of the time. It's just, at least the beginning part of it, you know, it's just after a while, it's just like the, kind of like, in a way, as time go on, the clubs keep losing club members, and I'll get there. Like, I'm just saying that, you know, that's the goal on the club presidency, to be like in a conference, like a company conference meeting. You know, that you see all the people dressed in suit, and they have their agendas and everything already, and the PowerPoint and everything. You know, it's like a lot of standards and professionalism and everything. So kind of like, in a way, so back then, during those 4 years from 2008 to 2011, that was the goal, to be like a company's conference meeting. But so I will get to there. It's just like there was this problems and conflicts happen along the way that I have to handle and things like that. I'll talk more about that some other time. Okay, it's still, right now 7:30, there's still 15 minutes, around 15 minutes, yeah, around 15 minutes left. Okay, so, pretty much, like, I don't know, that's basically the question is, how would I decline, you know, if the county of San Diego asked me if I could I go on a conference to say what I'm saying right now? Would I decline that that request from the county of San Diego? Basically, that's the question. And or would I, come up with a solution? I would answer, what if the county of, what if I make a video like I'm in a conference, and the county of San Diego use that video even as though I am in that conference, saying the things I want to say, kind of as that solution. So kind of like in a way, so basically I'm just vibing this argument. It's like, I don't know, like I'm just saying I would, pretty much I felt that pretty much like, I would say, pretty much the answer I'm vibing right now is, if the county of San Diego do that, come up to me and ask me, to go on a conference, pretty much I'm vibing that, I'm just gonna say I'm not gonna follow through with it, and that kind of like in a way, I just like, I'm gonna choke, kind of like in a way I can't, so kind of like in a way, or something like that, that's why it's like, like I'll be, or like, I freeze up or something, I choke, I freeze up, and I just couldn't say what I want to say, kind of like in a way, if someone did that, if the county of San Diego come up to me, ask me, am I ready for a conference or something like that, and I felt like the answer I'm vibing right now is that I'm gonna freeze up or I'm gonna choke or something, it's like, okay, my mother's talking to her, just turn off the light so it's all, you can't really see much because it's all like not enough light and everything. So I'm gonna continue without, I can't, like, I still can't, I haven't figured out the function feature to pause this video, this camcorders, so I can't pause the video to turn on the light. Okay, so you just have to excuse me for a minute, just trying to just see if I can turn on the light. Okay, so, alright, so, just, pretty much I just paused the video, like, I still haven't figured out how the function feature to pause the video, so, pretty much, back to what I'm saying. Anyway, okay, she just turned off the light again, so I have about 10 minutes left, so I'm just gonna go for the rest of 10 minutes like this, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I'm just okay. So back to the conference. Basically, I don't know if I would freeze up or not in a conference. Pretty much that would. That's it. That's pretty much, that's the vibe. It's just like you can't handle it. You're gonna freeze up. You're gonna choke. We want to give you an opportunity, but you're gonna choke and you can't handle it. That's why the whole county of San Diego giving you this time of mercy to not ask you that question. Are you ready for a conference or not? Because you're gonna choke. You're gonna freeze up. It's like. Pretty much that's the argument. Pretty much gonna keep it. That's the argument. Just like why would the whole county of San Diego is being so you know treating me this way. Maybe that's the whole argument. They're trying to ask me a question. Like, oh, am I ready for a conference? And I'm gonna all of a sudden choke and freeze up and everything. It's like. Okay, so anyway, it's right now 7:38. So about 7 more minutes left. Okay, I don't know, like, I really don't know. I don't know how, like, I should have, I suppose, if I showed more professionalism and standard, then it would avoid this question. It's like no one, it's like, if I'm in the conference all the time and show professionalism and standard, then people don't have to ask me this question and don't have to be confused about the answer or being freeze up and choke and everything. It's like kind of like in a way, like, the company's meeting. They have this meeting regularly, and they're like in the conference all the time, and they show professionalism standard all the time. That's why no one asked them that questions. And then like people going through all this putting to go through all this work to put together a conference for me, and then ask me, are you ready for a conference? And all of a sudden I'm choked up and freeze up and everything.